Dean Martin secretly paid a stranger's hospital bills for 15 years, but when the family discovered who their guardian angel was, what they found out about Dean's past changed everything they thought they knew about him. It was March 1962, when Maria Benedetti received the phone call that every mother dreads. Her 8-year-old son Tony had collapsed at school and was being rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. The doctors told her it was his heart, a rare condition that would require multiple surgeries and years of expensive treatment. Maria and her husband Giuseppe were hard-working Italian immigrants who had come to America with nothing but hope and determination. Giuseppe worked double shifts at a factory, and Maria cleaned houses 6 days a week. They had saved every penny for years to buy their small house in East Los Angeles, but now they faced medical bills that would destroy everything they had built. The first surgery alone cost more than Giuseppe made in an entire year. When the hospital administrator told them the total estimated cost for Tony's treatment, Giuseppe broke down crying in the hospital hallway. They were looking at over $200,000 in medical expenses, money they simply didn't have. "We'll have to go back to Italy," Giuseppe told Maria that night, as they sat by Tony's hospital bed. "We can't afford this. We're going to lose everything." Maria held her husband's hand and tried to be strong, but inside she was terrified. Going back to Italy meant Tony wouldn't get the specialized care he needed. It might mean losing their son. But then something miraculous happened. 3 days later, the hospital called with news that made no sense. An anonymous benefactor had stepped forward to cover Tony's entire medical treatment. Not just the surgery, but everything: future surgeries, medications, rehabilitation, everything Tony would need. "Who is it?" Maria asked the administrator. "We need to thank them." "I'm sorry, Mrs. Benedetti. They've requested complete anonymity. All I can tell you is that your son's medical care is completely covered." Maria and Giuseppe were overwhelmed with gratitude and confusion. Who would do such a thing for strangers? They weren't famous, they had no wealthy friends, and they certainly hadn't asked anyone for help. Tony's first surgery was successful, but it was only the beginning. Over the next 15 years, he would need 6 more surgeries, countless medications, and extensive physical therapy. Each time, the bills were mysteriously covered by their anonymous benefactor. The Benedetti family tried everything to discover who their guardian angel was. They hired a private investigator. They pleaded with hospital administrators. They even had Giuseppe's brother, who worked for the telephone company, try to trace any possible connections. Nothing worked. Whoever was helping them had covered their tracks completely. As the years passed, the anonymous help extended beyond just Tony's medical bills. When Giuseppe was laid off from the factory in 1968, their mortgage payments were mysteriously covered for 6 months. When Maria's mother in Italy became ill and needed surgery, plane tickets and money for her treatment appeared in their mailbox. When Tony graduated high school and wanted to go to college, a full scholarship appeared from a foundation they'd never heard of. Each act of kindness came with the same message: no thanks necessary. Just help someone else when you can. Tony grew up healthy and strong, his heart condition completely corrected by the series of surgeries. He became a doctor himself, specializing in pediatric cardiology, inspired by the medical care that had saved his life. The family prospered, always wondering about their mysterious benefactor but never forgetting to help others as they had been helped. In 1977, 15 years after it all began, Giuseppe was reading the newspaper when he saw an obituary that made his hands shake. Dean Martin's son, Dean Paul Martin, had died in a plane crash. Giuseppe had always been a fan of Dean Martin's music. But what caught his attention was a small detail in the article. Dean Paul Martin had died while serving as a pilot in the California Air National Guard, but more importantly, the obituary mentioned that Dean Paul had been born with a serious heart condition that required multiple surgeries as a child, the same rare condition that Tony had been born with. Giuseppe's mind began racing. Could it be possible? He called the hospital and, after years of dead ends, finally found someone willing to talk. Dr. Robert Chen, Tony's original surgeon, was now retired and felt comfortable sharing what he had kept secret for 15 years. "Your anonymous benefactor was Dean Martin," Dr. Chen revealed. "He came to me after your son's first surgery and said he wanted to cover everything. When I asked him why, He told me about his own son's condition and said no family should have to choose between their child's life and their financial survival. Giuseppe was stunned. Dean Martin, the famous singer, the member of the Rat Pack, the Hollywood legend, had been their guardian angel all these years. But there was more to the story. Dr. Chen continued. Dean made me promise never to reveal his identity. He said he didn't want your family to feel obligated to him in any way. But he also told me something else. He said that when he was a young boy, his own family had struggled with medical bills for his brother, and a stranger had helped them. He promised himself that if he ever became successful, he would do the same for other families. Giuseppe learned that Dean Martin had been born Dino Paul Crosetti in a poor Italian-American family in Steubenville, Ohio. His father was a barber, and his mother worked in a factory. When Dean's younger brother became seriously ill, the family faced the same impossible choice that Giuseppe and Maria had faced: their child's health or their financial survival. A wealthy businessman in their town had anonymously covered the medical bills, saving Dean's brother's life and keeping the family from losing their home. Dean never forgot that act of kindness, and he had spent his entire career quietly helping other families in similar situations. The Benedetti family wasn't Dean's only secret charity case. Giuseppe discovered that Dean had been helping dozens of families over the years, all anonymously, all quietly: Italian immigrant families, struggling single mothers, families dealing with serious illnesses. Dean Martin had been a guardian angel to countless people who never knew his name. Giuseppe decided he had to meet Dean and thank him personally. But when he called Dean's manager, he was told that Dean didn't want to be thanked. The manager explained that Dean believed charity should be anonymous, and that knowing who helped you could make people feel obligated rather than grateful. But Giuseppe was persistent. Finally, Dean agreed to meet with the family, but only on one condition: they had to promise never to tell the media about his help. The meeting took place at Dean's Beverly Hills home in late 1977. When Dean opened the door and saw Giuseppe, Maria, and Tony standing there, he broke down crying. "You don't need to thank me," Dean said through his tears. "Seeing Tony healthy and strong is all the thanks I need." Tony, now a 23-year-old medical student, stepped forward and hugged Dean. "You saved my life," Tony said. "Not just with the money but with the hope. My parents never gave up, because they knew someone believed in us." Dean wiped his eyes and invited the family inside. They spent 3 hours together, and Dean told them about his own childhood, his brother's illness, and the stranger who had helped his family. "I made a promise to God when I became successful," Dean told them. "I promised that I would never let a family face what my family faced. Money should never be the reason a child doesn't get the medical care they need." Maria asked Dean why he had chosen to help them specifically. Dean's answer revealed the depth of his compassion. "Dr. Chen told me about Tony's condition, and it was exactly the same as my son Dean Paul's condition. But he also told me about your family. How hard you worked, how much you loved each other, how you never gave up hope. You reminded me of my own parents, and I knew I had to help." The conversation revealed that Dean's generosity went far beyond just covering medical bills. He had been quietly supporting Tony's education, helping with the family's living expenses during difficult times, and even arranging for special medical consultations when Tony's condition was at its worst. Giuseppe asked Dean how they could ever repay him. Dean's answer became the family's guiding principle for the rest of their lives. "Don't repay me," Dean said. "Pay it forward. Tony's going to be a doctor. Help other families the way I helped you." That's how we keep the circle going. Dr. Tony Benedetti kept that promise. Throughout his career as a pediatric cardiologist, he provided free care to families who couldn't afford treatment. He established a foundation that helps cover medical expenses for children with heart conditions. Every patient he helped for free received the same note that his family had received years earlier: "No thanks necessary, just help someone else when you can." Dean Martin continued his anonymous charity work until his death in 1995. After he died, his accountant revealed that Dean had given away over $10 million to struggling families over the course of his career. The Benedetti family was just one of hundreds that Dean had helped without ever seeking recognition. When Giuseppe learned about Dean's other charitable work, he understood the true measure of the man. Dean Martin wasn't just an entertainer who happened to be generous. He was a man who never forgot where he came from and never stopped trying to help others rise up as he had. The story of Dean Martin and the Benedetti family remained secret until after both Dean and Giuseppe had passed away. Only then did Tony Benedetti decide to share the story, hoping it would inspire others to help families in need. Dean Martin taught us that true generosity is anonymous. Dr. Benedetti said. He didn't help us for recognition or praise. He helped us because it was the right thing to do, because someone had once helped him, and because he understood that kindness creates a circle that never ends. Today, the Benedetti Foundation has helped over 3,000 families cover medical expenses for their children. Each family receives the same note that started it all. No thanks necessary. Just help someone else when you can. Dean Martin's legacy isn't just his music or his movies. It's the countless lives he touched through secret acts of kindness, proving that the most powerful form of generosity is the kind that seeks no recognition, expects no gratitude, and creates endless circles of compassion. If this story of hidden kindness and paying it forward moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of anonymous generosity. Have you ever been helped by a stranger? Or have you quietly helped someone else? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to check out our other videos about the generous hearts behind entertainment's biggest stars.